Take.
Okay, we are still doing Mishnah Zayin of fifth Pirke of Pirke Avoth. So again, chapter 5, Mishnah 7. The Rambam, we did, Mishnah says there are 7 things that distinguish a golem and a chacham. And if you recall, last week we spoke about the the terminology itself is very telling. Even before we understand those 7 things that are very, very important, the terminology, right? Chacham means, what does chacham mean? A wise person. So if I asked you, Avi, what is the opposite, the antonym of wise, what would you say?
Dumb.
It's not so smart, right? But that's not what it says. Golem. Golem, Rambam told us, means what? Unfinished. Incomplete. Imperfect. The opposite, Mishnah says, of a wise person is not somebody who has, let's call it no IQ or no knowledge. Is the person, if I could use that word, who's too lazy or not persistent enough to make sure that he is given the ability, he is given the understanding. So let me make sure that I utilize it fully and I will bring some sort of perfection to it. Now, obviously, life should be constantly growing. Right? In a certain sense, you could never complete it. But we're talking about somebody, I told you, I think I said this last week. I think this Mishnah is talking to us about what I like, is my own terminology, good enough syndrome. Good enough syndrome. Sometimes we know something, we should do better. We could do better. We swing it. We want to talk about something. We swing it. You could go do a little bit of research and spend 15 minutes and know what you're talking about. I know I could get away with, not doing the best thing. Or other areas in life. I know this is an area I need a little bit focused. I should get a little bit better. I'm just too lazy or not motivated enough. And it's good enough. Good enough syndrome. That is the opposite of being wise. There is chacham, and there is golem. And Rambam told us beautifully. He said, where does the term golem comes? He says, for example, a knife. Before that knife is sharpened, you may have seen it. They sell them. You get a raw knife, sort of. It looks like a knife. It's all the decoration is there and all that, but the edge is not sharp. It's very blunt.
It doesn't cut.
It doesn't cut you, so you take it to be sharpened. That's called golem. In Hebrew, the term for such a unfinished product is golem. Rambam doesn't bring this example, but from that same source that he's bringing that one example of knife, I said, what? If you have a thin rod, and they cut it into the right correct sizes, now they have to sharpen the tip and make a hole in the bottom. Now it's going to be a needle. Right now it's just the raw material that will eventually be a needle. That is called golem. And everything is missing the sharp tip. That's a golem. That is a golem.
And the holy part.
Okay. So now, Rotze lomar, and this tells us, we are about 2/3 done in Rambam. That is explaining the term golem. He brings the pasuk gol miro enecha rotze lomar chomer sheli kodem higia tzurat ha'adam ba. כאשר לא הגיע לזאת הצורה שלמותה, קראוהו golem. When a certain item has not reached its complete form, then it's called golem. לדמותו כחומר הנמצא מוכן לקבל צורה אחרת. So why is that? Because this is an item, this is a chomer, a material that is ready to accept its final form. Right? Imagine that knife or that needle that I said, it's not in its final shape yet. That's what is golem. ישוב יותר שלום. וחכם הוא האיש שהגיעו לו שני המינים מן המעלות על השלמות, כמו שצריך. Now, Chacham is somebody, Rambam says, who has worked on both areas. Again, we did this last week. What were the two areas? One is knowledge, one is conduct towards others. Chacham is called someone who has that achievement of obtaining knowledge, being a learning, growing person unto himself, and also, as far as his relationship goes with others, the conduct he has, he educates himself. And again, these are lifelong jobs, but in general, right, you see the difference. Somebody who's interested says, you know what, this time around I was talking to him, I really didn't mean to, but I disappointed him, I hurt him a little bit. So he will analyze it in his mind. How should I have said it? How could I have said it differently or better? Why would he do that? It's done, it's gone, it's finished. Is water under the bridge? No, because it helps us. How am I going to talk to another person or to the same person in the same situation? How do I perfect myself? How do I realize, right? They say it's a very famous thing. They say from Rabbi Israel Salanter, what is the kavanah one should have when he puts on talit? You've heard this one, right? Kavanah is, how should he put it on? That as he puts it on, the string should not hit the person behind him. Right? So now, the thing is like this. It's a very, very deep lesson because we could go through life and not notice it. And what should we take from this? What we should take from this is that he told us one thing. But what he was trying to do, Rabbi Salanter, what he was trying to do is as you go through your life, you will see situations that you have to plug it in. One time somebody talked to you in a certain way and it was a little bit upsetting to you. Now your mind should work, oh, now I understand how to not do this to others. Am I ever guilty of this? Rav Shalom Shavadran, I didn't have much time, but I'll finish with this. Rav Shalom Shavadran, he said, he was a famous Maggid, he was a storyteller in Yerushalayim. I heard him right when I came to America in 87. It was towards the end of his life. He was in America, I believe, for the last time in 87. At any rate, I heard him once. He was a very powerful speaker. I mean, he was known that he could, and he did, take you from, splitting laughter to shedding tears.
Oh, wow.
Mere 30 seconds. He you were captivated when he spoke, and it was a roller coaster, right? You were with him through every step as he went up and down. He was just a very powerful speaker. He was known as the Maggid of Yerushalayim. So he said that he used to say a story about Chafetz Chaim, but inside he was always a little bit hesitant about this story. Chafetz Chaim, whenever he had a guest, Friday night, he would say Shalom Aleichem after Hamotzi. He would come, says, let's make Kiddush. Then he says Shalom Aleichem, and Eshet Chayil, and all the other things that he said, he would do it after Hamotzi. He says, how do I know the guest may be hungry? The guest may be hungry. So, Rabbi Shiradan says, I used to retell this conduct, this habit, this minhag of Chafetz Chaim, but inside, come on, how much is the whole thing? 4 minutes, Shalom Aleichem and Eshet Chayil is 4. What's the... So he says, he was once invited to go to Switzerland during the summer. And he's supposed to land in, somewhere in Germany Friday morning, and then he's going to take a connecting flight to Switzerland Friday afternoon. So there are delays, the plane landed late. So he almost lost the connect. I don't remember the whole story, but he missed breakfast, and he also missed lunch in order to make it to Switzerland. So he gets to Switzerland, it's right before Shabbat, He's taken to his house. There's very little time. He gets ready for Shabbat. There's not even enough time to take a cup of coffee. He goes to shul. He comes back to his host, and the host comes and singing and Shalom Aleichem and all that. And then he says, I hope the Rav doesn't mind. I have a minhag. I learn for half an hour with my children between Kiddush and Hamotzi. And he says, and I was literally counting minutes. So I was very hungry. I had been traveling the whole day. It was a long day, and it was summer, so it was late. In Switzerland, summers could get late. It's around 9:30 p.m. already when he came home. So by the time he ate, it was closer to 10:30. And he says, he felt Hashem wanted to show him that sometimes you're in a situation where every minute matters. Every minute really does matter. So the point of Chacham and Golem is to bring ourselves to that perfection. Every day we have literally hundreds and thousands of experiences. The more we learn to plug in these experiences to improve who we are, both in the two areas Rambam said, in our knowledge and in our conduct towards others. The more we are in that path of Chacham, and the more we are like, I'm okay already, I'm a nice person, I'm nice to them, I'm not saying you're not, I'm talking about somebody who really is, I'm good, I'm okay. I don't need to you tell somebody, hey, I'm good, you don't need to tell me anything. So that already, if not Golem, the person may not be, but he is in that path of not caring about perfection. And Rambam said that is the opposite of Chacham. The opposite of Chacham is someone who is unfinished, imperfect. So,
Is that bad?
what, to be imperfect?
To be Golem?
I don't know.
Of course,
Right.
it's not Chacham.
Ramchal says, some people say, you know what, why do I have to do all the mitzvot? Why do I have to be careful about everything? As long as I'm good enough that I'll make it to the, ever after, to the world to come, so I'll be okay. I have Olam Haba. It's good enough. So he says, tell them, look, you go to a wedding. They put you all the way at the end. You feel slighted and sort of out of your element. They put you with the waiters. And that table that you don't really belong, all your relatives, all the people in your situation are there. Or all the way at the end of the stadium. How hard is it to go through those 2 hours? Now imagine eternity like that. I could have been there had I know myself. I know I had the ability, the potential, the talent to be at that row. I know that's where I could be. And here I am, as an afterthought. And stuck there. It's not 2 hours, it's eternity. Eternity. If we try to imagine eternity, we live that life differently. Did I ever tell you, I had a chavruta in yeshiva. At that time, the Twin Towers used to stand still. Now there are new towers there. But I said, imagine Twin Towers, huge one-block buildings, 110 floors. Yeah. So he said, you imagine them? You have the picture in your mind? I said, yes. So he says, now imagine I take out all the furniture from all the offices in all 110 floors. Empty space. You got it? I have the picture in my mind. He says, now imagine I take off all the walls separating the different offices in one floor. You walk in, it's one huge floor. Okay? You got that in your mind? So, yeah. So now imagine I take off all the floors. You walk into the bottom, you're inside this huge block, it's 110 floors high. You got it? I said yes. He says, so now we have a pigeon that comes every 100,000 years, once every 100,000 years, and drops in a grain of wheat in there. How long will it take to fill? You have any imagination how long it is? I said, no. I said, well, eternity is millions of
Life
times
is-
longer than that even. It's longer than that. Way longer than that, yes? If we imagine eternity, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Our dear friend over here was talking before about waking up early.
You get used to it, don't worry. You sit that corner, the first
Yeah.
2 years might be bothersome.
That's another thing. There is no such a thing as getting used to it in Olam Haba.
After 100,000
I wanted to speak about that, but in Mitzvah Hashem, Jack, after Pesach, we'll meet each other again. Remind me this. Getting used to it's a very important thing. We have to do that.
After 100,000 years, you get used to it.
No, I don't think so.
Shalom.
Okay, thank you.